Is it hard to access affordable, healthy food? Then listen carefully. Daryl Addison, an African-American inventor, has patented a process for growing food on demand. He called it Torpedo Pot. Torpedo Pot is a fully automated flower pot that gives you control over your plant's environment. All you do is add soil, seeds, and plants to the flower pot and watch it grow. Yes, Torpedo Pot grows the rest. Visit www.torpedopot.com.
So, a Wisconsin mother has filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the local sheriff's department after her son died in police custody for a mental health crisis. So, a Racine Police Department arrest reports show Malcolm James, 27 years old, called 911 last May for help. They said because he was suicidal. Say when the police got to his home, they arrested James on arson charges after they reportedly found him setting his clothes afire. They say 4 days later, he died in the county jail. Now, Malcolm's mother, Sherry James, is suing the Racine County Sheriff's Department, which runs the jail, said the deputies and the nurse involved in a company from where the nurse was outsourced for $20 million. Now, Racine County authorities said James was on suicide watch and continuously smashed his head into the concrete wall and died during a medical event in the jail. I said later, video footage showed James died while correctional officers pressed down on his neck while he was in emergency restraint. They say his autopsy shows he died of asphyxia. Okay, so they caused his death. How many times did that happen? They say no charges have been filed against the officers involved in his death. They say, however, a nurse who was involved in the incident has been fired. Now, they said, and I quote, I carried Malcolm for 9 months. He lived for 27 years. In the 15-second video, his life was taken, Sherry James said during a March 18 press conference. Now, according to a police report that was obtained, James told dispatchers on May 28, 2021, he just didn't know what to do. He said 911, dispatchers sent officers to his apartment where they found James setting his clothes on fire. They said a district attorney's office report shows he was then transported to the hospital. While at the hospital, James told police he set his clothes on fire because he recalled his uncle speaking to his mother once about setting himself on fire. They said the race soldiers charged James with arson and 14 counts of endangerment for putting the other residents in the apartment lives at risk. But the dude called for help, and he gets all these criminal charges. They said, and I quote, Mr. James did not make suicidal statements or any statements about wanting to harm anyone else, according to the district attorney Patricia Hansen said about the report posted online. It said RPD, the officer spoke with the hospital staff while on the scene, who advised Mr. James did not indicate any intention to be suicidal at the hospital. Then he was transported to the county jail where he was placed on suicide watch. Now, they say he reportedly banged his head on the wall for 2 days. He said before being placed in the safety restraint chair, which bonded his arms and legs. The correctional officer said they tried to remove James from the chair several times on the days leading up to his death on June 1, 2021, but he was resistant. So why didn't you take him to a mental health facility? I'm curious about that. It's interesting. The girl in Florida that stabbed the Nigerian brother, that was dating the OnlyFans model, she stabbed the dude and she got to go to the mental health facility. This dude, he ended up going to jail. Now, during the initial attempt, they said on May 29, 2021, jail staff said they told James to lie on his shoulder and roll his stomach, and James refused. Said video footage released by the Sheriff's County shows James was wearing a suicide prevention gown, and he said he had the blanket on his face, and he said, "Get off me, yo." He said James reportedly shouted. He said, "I'm being, harassed," the S word in front. He said, "I don't lay down for nobody." He said when they successfully removed James from the restraint chair the day before he died, he started hitting his head on the wall. They said when he refused to stop, an officer tased James, but the taser did not completely connect, according to the body camera video. They say the next day, they say he reportedly hit his head on the wall again. They said so officers entered James' cell with pepper spray. They said they tased him and placed him back in the restraint chair. Now, Sherry James' attorney, Kevin O'Connor, said the officers were required to monitor her son's breathing after they pepper sprayed him, but did not do so. Now, video footage shows 5, race soldiers place James on his back in a chair. It said, and a nurse tried to remove the taser prongs from his back. It said one of the officers pushed James' head and neck forward, while others pulled and pushed down on his head, shoulders, and back. It said muffled James told officers to get off of him, and he could not breathe. It said at one point James moved from the side to side while he told the race soldiers to get off of him. It said another race soldier joined the other one and pressing down on his neck in response to his movement. No different than George Floyd doing things on people's neck. It said another point, it said James's handcuffs became loose and the race soldiers doubled them. It said a total of 7 surrounded him. It said why on his neck. It said restrained him for 3 minutes and 6 seconds. It said the 2 of them tried to remove the prongs before they realized that he was unresponsive. It said the video also showed that James' body was limp. It said when the race soldiers released their hold on his neck. It said O'Connor, the officers violated the man's rights. It said wrongly caused his death and failed to protect him. And say he has accused the jail nurse of negligence and said she failed to move with urgency to give James proper care as he became non-responsive. It said he also claimed that the sheriff created a false narrative about Malcolm James. This is his death. Putting out a video of him slamming his head into the wall. Now the dude clearly had mental health issues, but yet this is the way they was treating him. I would tell people all the time, don't call the police for anything, because if you call the police as a black person, you playing Russian roulette with your life. We've always had that thought process in the black community. Definitely when I was growing up, you don't call them police over here, because the moment you call them police over here, you done lost control of everything. I've done story after story. Oh, my family member having a mental health episode, and then the race soldiers show up and then they gun them down. Like, what did you do? We just called you for help. Not in America. Not in this place. I'm telling y'all, it's like I said, I every day, I can't wait for the day I ain't got to be looking at this stuff all the time. Now, they said the attorney is seeking monetary compensation for his mom for the damages, attorney fees, and other costs associated with her son's wrongful death. Now, the district attorney said her decision to not pursue charges is based on the differences in expert opinion from a county medical examiner and those of 2 outside experts her office commissioned to weigh in on the case. Y'all, for the past 10 years, I've been doing stories like this, and so many of these stories have happened over and over and over and over again to black men. And when I tell y'all that this is not going to stop, oh, y'all believe in me? I told y'all, as long as these people are in control and they have their anti-black hatred toward us, this will keep happening. It's just going to be a different black person in a different location. They have perfected in how they treat black people, but especially black men in these jails, in these prisons. The man called for help, and then he ended up getting a bunch of charges for calling for help. He shouldn't even call them. He probably been better off, whatever he had going on. These people don't want to help us. They're not trying to help us like that. You do better call another family member. Call a family member. Don't call them. They go and help their own people. They don't help us. They help their own. So call your family if you got a problem. Call family. Call a friend if you have a problem. Somebody else, but not them. They don't know no other way to treat black people but one way, and that's anti-black, white supremacist ways. That's why I told y'all so many times that I'm always at peace when I'm in the African continent, because at least if I need to call the police for something, I don't have to worry about that issue happening because of the color of my skin. Another parent lost their son Another parent suing. They've paid out so many lawsuits of taxpayer money. So many lawsuits. And they don't care. They view it as, well, it's just a cost of maintaining this system. Devils, man, some straight devils. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular story that happened to that young brother. That young brother should be here. Make sure you subscribe. That way you know exactly when we post another news story. And make sure you click the like button. Likes are free, just like subscribing is free. You want to make sure you keep up what's going on. You can also help spread the video and make sure you share this video with all your friends and family. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the African Diaspora News Channel app in the Google Play and Apple App Store.